Okay, so this video is to show you how the app backend works. It's in addition to the meeting we're having tomorrow, where I'm going to cover the same things. It's really so you have a reference point and something to come back to if you need to go through anything. The system works exactly the same for Glasgow, Arran, Jubilee. In this demo here, I'm going to just do it on Glasgow for expediency. So main area when it comes to configuring the app is in the app section, which you can get to by clicking here. You've got some configuration options here for the app, which I'll sort of go through as I do the video. You've got notifications, updates, and then you've got some templates here which are used in the app. It just allows us to deploy things to the app without having to put hard-coded delivery in. For the purposes of this demo, don't worry about AppStream templates. It's something that I'm going to deal with, and there will be other items along here which again I will deal with here. So if we just look at the main app section here, we've got an app ID. That's not going to change. That'll be dependent upon who you are. So you won't need to change that. Color, that's simply to give the color to the app as you would have on the website. Again, you could change it, but you're probably not going to. Home menu items, I'll come back to this in a second, but these are essentially the items that sit on your home page. You can, again, you could add new items in, but again, you're probably going to want to do that in conjunction with me anyway. There's a little bit of HTML here that specifies how the icon should be displayed, and this is how it appears in the menu. Obviously, the Arran, Jubilee, Glasgow will be different because Glasgow's got more screens. It's got the calculators on and the RSS feeds. I don't think Arran and Jubilee are going to have those. Side menu items, this is for the side menu item, but I'll come back and show you on that. Anyway, the app username, app password, something that Glasgow uses. I'm not sure if Arran and Jubilee will use it. It's currently set to what the old app was. Arran and Jubilee, you can just set it to whatever you want. If you don't want to use it, you can just remove it. These URLs are used for pulling data from various sources. Again, not something you're going to do yourself. And this is the highlight screen that you see on the first page of the app, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. You also have the notifications and updates, and I'm going to cover that at the moment as we go through the app. So I'm just going to run an app on the Android, just from the beginning. So first launch of the app's going to have to go and get data. So it's going to run like this. You'll find this is a little bit slow because it's a simulator and the simulators are slow. This is going to pull all the data down, and this is also the screen you'll get when you've had an update. I'm sure you've seen that as the app updates. It can take up to a couple of minutes, although typically on a good internet connection it won't. It's downloading about 15 megs, which could come down in maybe about 20 seconds or something. Okay, so then you get to the password screen, and we've already identified the app username and password is here. If you clear those out, it will just simply skip this screen and go straight into the app. We can click sign in. Oh, obviously typed in something wrong there. Can't spell. Medis. I think that's correct. Yep. Okay, so then it will launch the app on here. So as I said here, these 7 items here are covered under the home menu items. Again, the only thing you're ever likely to change is just the screen name. If you want new screens, you probably want to email me and I can advise how best to configure it, because it's not really like ultra technical, it's sort of semi-technical, this area. Side menu items are the items that will appear in the side as well. So you get all the home and then you get the bottom 3 here. A new feature you've probably not seen on there is called the App ID. I'll come back to this in a minute. This is to do with push notifications, and it allows you to test the push notifications. So when you're testing, the reason I've put this in is that previously notifications can be quite tricky. Sometimes they get switched off. People say they're not getting them. There's no guarantee they'll go immediately as well. They should come pretty immediately, but that isn't always the case. So what I've done here is part of the code that I get that allows us to send a push notification. I'll document exactly how you test it, but if you can put the full bit in, you can put in the first few letters if you wanted to see a notification. The reason I've given you more of this is if you get lots of people, some people might have the first 3 letters and 2 people will get the test notification. But in this case, FFU in lowercase, I can test that. So you'd go to a browser, you'd type in the domain name I'm going to give you, and you'd hit return. You should probably be able to hear that. As you can see, a test message has just been sent to the app here. I think there were 2 there because I think I've double registered this. That's something I'll fix. So if you get the notification through from here, it means it's working. If you don't get the notifications, then there'll be some troubleshooting that I'll give you to look. You need to check that notifications are switched on, etc. Okay, so main thing to take from the home screen here is this here. So this basically has a highlight title and some content and an encoding. This basic, I've sent the encoding email earlier on today. It's again semi-technical, but it's reasonably straightforward. This is just basically saying take me to a guideline, which it does do that. You could send it to an external URL. You could send it to any one of these top level pages in here. If you don't want to have the highlight box, you can just switch it off and you'll need to produce an update, which is what I'll demonstrate to you in a minute. Okay, so just like to go through the actual notifications you'll get. All the notification does is send a message to the app to appear onto your screen to open the app to say that there's something new. It then will load the notification that you're about to add in. What I'm going to do in this example is I'm just going to take this text here and create a notification. Put this content in here. This is what will appear in the app, and I'll just put this in for now, and I'll put new app. Send date. So if you schedule it to go in the future, it won't go until you send it. In this example, I'm going to set it for yesterday so that I can get it to come immediately. I won't mark it as sent. That will get done by the system when it's ready to go. So let's just bring this in here. So typically, I mean, it will ping up in here, but you're not really going to get the sort of the benefit of it. Usually the notification would be when the app's in the background on there. So if I click save and publish now, it should come through in a couple of minutes. Okay. Again, new app, that's the notification that's been done. If we now refresh this page, we'll see that that's now been sent, and we'll go on there. So if we open up the app, it will detect that there's a new notification has been read, and then you'll be able to get the full text of it. And then if you want to go back to home, you'll come back as thus. Important thing to do is you can delete these if you don't want them anymore, but don't reuse them. Always create a new notification. The reason being is when the app loads up, it checks to see is there something new with a new ID on it, which is that number there. So if you reuse it, the app will never realize it's a different notification. So by all means, you can manage these how you want, but create a new one for when you want them to go. Okay, so the other main thing sort of want to cover in this is updates. Obviously, main important thing when you've been working on your guidelines and you've published them, you've got them all ready to go, you will want to publish your updates. These are, just delete these out of the system. So the app's always going to pick up whatever your published updates are. Now, when you create an update, what the app is going to do is it's going to go through everything that's published at the moment you create it and create a file and send it to the app so it can be downloaded online. So what this means is that you need to make sure that everything's published. So little pluses with the green dots, they all need to be published. Otherwise it will get the current published version of the app on there. So I'm going to create a new update. So I'll call it demo update. And that's for an internal note to explain what it is. You obviously haven't processed yet because the system's going to process it itself. Now, bear in mind the update won't create a notification. It will just update the app. If you want to add a notification when you've done an update, you should create a notification separately. So I'm going to save and publish this. And just going to wait a couple of minutes until, because it needs to process. Now it'll take maybe a couple of minutes. Okay, so after a couple of minutes, you're going to, the app's going to, the server would have prepared the update. We'll go into the app and you'll be prompted for an update. In an actual fact, I think what I might do is demonstrate on this update how you can remove this, because this can be changed and removed when you do an update. So I am just going to go to here. I'm going to say hide that, click save and publish. Then I'm going to create a new update, which I'll create that demo update 2. Otherwise, if I'd not done this before, I wouldn't have been able to actually show any changes to the system. Click save and publish on that. I just need to wait for that to process. Okay, so after a small period of time, that will have been processed. So my expectation now is that it's going to pick up whatever was in here. So if we now go back to the app, it's detected there is an update, so we're going to let it update. And as you can see now, that's now gone. The message box has gone. It's now picked up the update, and the app's now got all the content that it needs. And I think that's really much it. The key thing to remember is pretty much, unless you want to change the menu item names, the only thing you're really ever going to change here is that. And again, all of this stuff will only come from an update. Generally, if you don't know what it is, you don't need to change it. I can usually bring it back and stuff like that. You can change the username and password, and obviously the highlight box. To run the notification, you just need to put a name and notification. That's what will appear here, new app. And then the wider content can have a lot more content in. That's what's going to appear in the app when you first load it after tapping on the notification. Updates, you just need to make sure that everything is published, that you want to be published, of course, or unpublished if you don't. You then create it, need to wait a couple of minutes, and the app should then update. That will also pick up any changes that you make in here. Final thing, pushing an update doesn't create a notification. You should do that separately. What I'd recommend you do is get the update, check you're happy with it. When you're ready, you push the notification out. I think that's what Glasgow do. Don't worry about AppScream templates for now. If you want to get really technical and stuff, I'm happy to sort of show you how to do it, although you do need to know what you're doing here, because if you change something here and push an update and it's incorrectly, your app's likely to fail. So just need to be a little bit careful on that. But that's pretty much the back end, and we'll go through this tomorrow.